So, one of the big struggles I see a lot of men have is knowing how to talk to women, being comfortable around women and learning how to cultivate relationships with women in various different ways. And so what a lot of men are struggling with is social skills and how to position themselves or how to obtain the qualities necessary to be successful in this area. Now, let me make something clear up front. I'm an introverted person. And by being introverted, I've never been really one to approach women. All right. So a lot of my meeting women have been through by chance, mutual connections. There have been those moments here and there that, I was able to approach. But for the most part, I don't do it all the time like a lot of different dudes. So this video is not saying you got to go out there and start trying to talk to every and each woman that you see. However, one thing I can confidently say is I have no problem having conversations and being able to hold a conversation with a woman once we are engaging in discussion. So, and I'm comfortable around women completely. So my goal is just to get you where you are able and you are comfortable and you are confident. And the tips I have for you are going to be more about laying the foundation, not teaching you game, so to speak, right? More so, no, how to set yourself up so that you can win in this area. So the first tip on this list, and it might surprise you, on how you can improve your social skills with women is getting healthy. So here's what I mean by that. I'm no doctor, but I'm a firm believer that one of the biggest problems or the most common problem that a lot of men are experiencing is low testosterone, okay? And with low testosterone, you aren't going to be as confident as you could be. You're not going to be as focused. You're not going to be as assertive. It just has a very negative impact on you. You're not going to have the energy for it. You're just not going to care. You're not going to have the drive. All these different things cause a problem. Now, you can talk to any man who's either boosted his testosterone, whether that be naturally or through therapy, or even you hear stories of men doing semen retention and over time they find themselves more confident, attracting women, all these things. And I believe one of the reasons is because their testosterone is improving. All right. Now, testosterone is not the only aspect of health we need to focus on. It's just a huge aspect of it. And I believe that when we start doing the other things that can help boost it, well, it has all these positive effects on us. So, for example, if you're vitamin D deficient, right, that's one thing that's hurting your production of testosterone. So in boosting your testosterone through adding a vitamin D supplement or getting more sun, getting outside the house more, you will now get the benefits of improved vitamin D as well as now you have improved testosterone. So there's a lot to get into. I'll do a separate video on that. In the meantime, do your research, look into it. Let me say this though. Again, I'm no doctor. Talk to people in the field. One thing I do not like is I saw a commercial today it wasn't even a commercial, it was a TikTok. And it was this guy saying, if you have low T, you need to get TRT therapy, testosterone replacement therapy. All right. Whereas you're getting the injections. And this dude's like 20 years old talking about my testosterone is low. I'm going to get the injection. It's like, yo, you're 20. You haven't even given yourself a chance to boost it naturally. And you want to go straight to injections. Now, listen, that is your choice as an individual. But I'm going to encourage you to go the natural route first. Exhaust those options first, especially when you're that young. And then if all else fails, maybe, you go the other route. But just throwing that out there. Either way, my whole point is by getting yourself to a healthier place, it's easier to be more confident, to be more assertive, to carry yourself in a way that will be more attractive to women. All right. There's even, and again, I'm always throwing out stuff that I don't know if it's true. I'm just going to tell you what I heard. I had heard this other TikTok where they was like, TikTok has all kinds of information, where they said they ran a test where they had these men run on a treadmill, sweat in their tank top, whatever, gave the tank top to a bunch of women afterwards. And they said they asked women which one based off the scent are you most attracted to? And it turned out the ones they were most attracted to had the highest, the best immune system, basically. All right. Their immune system was above average or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure how they framed it, but it would basically said the dudes who were the healthiest end up being the ones that got picked as the most attractive through the scent of their sweat in the tank top. It's this crazy thing. But the point is, it shows you, if it is true, how important your health plays into your ability to not just talk to women, but attract women as well. All right, so now the second tip to improve your social skills with women is remove any expectations, all right? So here's what I mean by that. And remember, we're going really foundational with this. One of the reasons why people are so hurt by rejection, are so afraid to talk to people, and struggle being around women is because they're hoping for something to come out of this, whether it be get her number, whether it be a chance to sleep with her, whatever, right? And then when they don't get that, they're hurt, they're disappointed, they're devastated. And when you remove the and there's nothing wrong with hoping for it, but what I'm saying is when you have the mindset of, I'm not expecting anything to come out of this other than an opportunity to speak to this woman. All right? So if you want to call that an expectation, okay, then maybe I'm a little bit contradicting myself there. But what I'm getting at is there is no expectation of a certain result. There is no expectation of winning. It's just more so, let me embrace the process. Let me just focus on living in the moment with this experience. And yes, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But for a man who's trying to get better at it, you have to put yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when we remove expectations, because I say the same thing to the women when it comes to going on dates. A lot of women, they get what I call dating fatigue, and it can happen to men too, because they go on these dates hoping for something to come out of this, and when it doesn't, they're disappointed and they don't want to do it anymore. But if they just went into it just looking to enjoy the experience of it, then they wouldn't walk away with such a negative feeling when things don't work out a certain way. So that's what I'm getting at here. It's just reprogramming your brain to where it's okay. Whatever happens, happens. You know what I'm saying? It's more of an effort mentality. And you're not stressed if it don't work. And if it do work, cool. Either way, you look at it, it's still a win because you still tried. You still got to speak to that person. You still got to become more comfortable in certain environments. It's still a win. When you change the way you look at it, it's going to make it so much easier for you to become more social with women. Which perfectly brings me to number 3. And the third thing to do if you want to improve your social skills with women is have a more positive mindset. So, unfortunately, one of the dangers of the internet today, and a lot of stuff, we'll just call it what it is, a lot of the information you're getting on YouTube, is that it can create a lot of negative perceptions about women in general. And the unfortunate reality is that when you consume too much of those negative perceptions, you may not realize how you start to project that onto every woman, whether you know her or not. You make negative assumptions. You go in expecting negative results. You go in expecting an attitude or whatever the case may be. And so then what happens is you create more negative experiences by projecting negative expectations or projecting negative perceptions onto people. If you want to make things, and not to mention, you make it harder for you to even want to bother. Like if all I think of is negative things when it comes to women and dating and relationships and all this stuff, well, it's easy for me as a man to be like, well, F it. Why even bother? This is a waste of my time. Let me go play my video game. Let me go watch this sport. Let me go do this. Let me go hang out with the guys, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But when you start to have a more positive mindset, it gives you more motivation to want to engage. It gives you more motivation to be open to the possibilities. It allows you to create more positive moments because you have a more positive attitude. Not to mention, you become more enjoyable to speak to. Some of y'all don't realize that when you're even talking to a woman, you're exuding negative energy. It reminds me of a guy specifically. There was a men's event. I went to it and there was some women there and the men were mingling. There was this one dude and he just carried so much negative energy with him. And you could tell he had a lot of negative perceptions of women. So what happens is, even when the woman's not a bad woman, if she does any little thing that you don't like or that looks a certain kind of way that you can misinterpret, it's easy to now jump straight to the negative, straight to being insulting, straight to now giving her an unnecessary attitude. And then when she doesn't want to talk to you, you're like, oh, she's the problem. Like, nah, bro, you were the problem. So this specific guy, he would be like that, but it was crazy because he, long story short, he went through a process of healing and that completely changed his life. His attitude is so different. His energy is so different. And you can see he's having better results with women. I think a lot of times men are not fully aware of the different things that women can be drawn to, that women like, that they look for, that can gain favor with a woman. And I think a man who is aware is a man who can find greater success in his dating and relationships because then he understands how to or what to implement to get better results, right? So let's get to it. I got a few things to mention to you guys, but the first thing that women like in men more than looks, and hear me out, is the appearance of money or the appearance of success. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about money later, but let's start here because the reality is that, you hear a lot of people say how if a man, once he start making money, all the doors open for him with women, all this stuff. That's not necessarily true. There's a lot of dudes who have money and still get no women, all right, are still struggling because simply having it, if she doesn't know you have it, then how are you able to use it or use it to your advantage, so to speak? The only way she can not know, but even think you may have it, is you basically implementing it in the way that you dress, the car that you drive, all these things. Now listen, I am not mentioning this to say that you need to, what you should do. That's up to you. But I do want you to understand what actually works or what actually plays a role in how some women are attracted or drawn to some men. And so it's the fact that he looks like he's successful, looks like he has money. And one of the big reasons why it's just a look, it's not even because it's that you actually have it if you look like it, is that if you have it, she can feel more confident about showing you off to friends and family who will not question about what's your financial status, because that can be a very difficult and embarrassing thing to have to face or have to mention to family and friends. So speaking on that, the idea of a woman not being with a man who's broke. Here's the truth. There's tons of women with broke men. There's all kinds of, beautiful women with broke men. There's situations where if you saw this couple, let's say on Instagram, you would think, again, the appearance of money, you would think he has money. But in reality, she's actually taking care of him. She's actually supporting him. And so what I noticed was in these situations where women got with or stay with a broke man, in most of those situations, he does not carry himself like he's broke. So to the outside world, he still has an appearance of at least stability, if not having money. What I compare this to is a lot of men will say they don't want a woman with a past. They don't want a woman who's been promiscuous, right? And I'm not here to get too deep into that specific topic. What I will tell you though is, though tons of men say that, that's not how it actually plays out in a lot of relationships. Plenty of men found out, heard, or have an idea that their woman has a past. But if they like her enough and that past is not known to other people, they overlook it. All right. It's as long as I don't have to walk in a room and all these men been with her or people know what she's done, they're cool with it. But if it's known, that's where it's a problem. So it's the same thing with women and money in a lot of cases. If people know he's broke, she can't do it. All right. That's too tough of a pill to swallow. But as long as she can pass him over as, again, either being stable or looking like he got money, she will deal with it more than y'all realize. So all that to say, yes, the appearance of it, the appearance of you being established goes a long way. One other quick example before I move on to the next point. I have a friend, and this isn't just with women, this is just in life in general. I had a friend who told me like he's always wearing a sports coat, a blazer. He'll go anywhere wearing his blazer, jeans, whatever. And he said what happened was when he started to do that, he would notice he would gain the respect of people around him. People were treating him differently because he looked like a successful guy, even though he wasn't at the time, okay? That didn't matter. They don't know that. They just know how you carry yourself. And then here's the thing. Sometimes the way you dress not even sometimes, the way you dress affects the way you feel. So when you dress like you're successful, even if you're not, you feel more confident about yourself. It feeds your mind in that way. And now that confidence allows you to look better in the eyes of women and other people. So bottom line is the appearance of money or success goes a very long way. All right, next on the list of things that women like more than looks is healthy communication skills. Now, let me say this because I didn't mention it in the very beginning. Understand that not that women are not visual also, but men are more visual than women. It is easier for a woman to become attracted to a man due to other qualities outside of his physical qualities. Not that the physical does not matter at all, but other things can draw her in. Okay, so consider that or keep that in mind when I'm talking about all these things, because some of y'all may say, oh, no, that's not more important than looks. But it's like, no, if that's an important value to her, like for some women, intelligence is very important to them. And that intelligence can help compensate for some of the other things lacking. It doesn't mean it completely makes up for it in every situation, but it can play a huge role. But anyways, going back to this other point, healthy communication skills. So when you sit down and talk to women, one of the biggest complaints they have with men is inability to communicate, inability to hold a conversation. And you know, it's funny because again, I'll see these videos on the internet sometimes talking about women not being able to have a conversation, which I'm not disputing, but they're having the same argument. All right. And so of course, there's a segment of women out there. There's a portion of them who are able to have a discussion, but they can't find a man to do it. And there's a segment of men. But for the man, you want to make sure you are able to talk about various different things. I think what I encourage men to do is try to have at least one area of expertise, so to speak, that you're very well versed in, that allows you to have something that you can not only talk about, but you can essentially teach about. A man who can teach a woman something, that gains you reverence in her eyes. That allows her to respect you more. That allows her to look at you in a certain kind of way. So it's good that when you can have something that you're really good at, that you can teach her about. And again, having that thing allows you to be a more confident man, allows you to, in many cases, extend your ability to critically think in different areas that can enhance your ability to discuss other different topics, right? But just in general, practicing being comfortable having conversations with women is good. This is one of the reasons why I think for some men, female friends can be beneficial. If you have yet become comfortable with speaking to women, right? Of course, just dating in general can help with that as well. But for some of you, it might just be if you have a female friend, getting comfortable with her. Now, I understand that can be very different from a woman that you're actually romantically interested in. But I do think for some guys, it may at least allow for some good practice to get the ball rolling. All right. But either way, healthy communication skills definitely goes a long way. An ability to not just knowing how to talk, but also an ability to listen. Being a good listener is going to be attractive to that woman. All right, keeping this thing moving. The next thing that women like more than looks in a man is ambition. All right. So in most cases, I would argue, women, one, are just drawn to ambitious men. All right. Now, I do think there's varying levels of ambition, and I don't think a man needs to try to be something he's not in order to come across as overly ambitious. Again, you have to be true to who you are and the life you want to live. But you also have to make sure you're not just being an unmotivated, lazy guy who has nothing going on for himself. That's not attractive at all. All right, plain and simple. And for those of you who may say, well, you see plenty of men like that still getting women, there's various other reasons why that's happening. A lot of that is because there's dysfunction there. There's dysfunction in that woman that even allows her to want to be with a guy or accept being with a guy like that. That's not what you're going to want. So don't use that as like an example. The bottom line is it's healthy for you. It's going to be healthy for a relationship, and it's going to allow you to attract more women when you tap into your own ambition. Now, I will say this. For some of you guys, your struggle with being ambitious is because you are not healthy physically. All right. I always say some guys aren't lazy, they're unhealthy. And so when you, for example, have low testosterone, you're going to be less ambitious. You're going to be less driven. You're going to be less focused. You're going to have less energy. Right. But if you would simply fix that, that would get you to your true optimal level. Again, whatever is true for you. So consider that as a man, if you haven't been the most motivated, the most focused, take a look at your physical health and see what areas can you optimize. Are you vitamin D deficient? Are you getting enough zinc, which all these things will help you with your testosterone? How are you eating? Are you getting enough sleep? All of these things matter and will help you become the man you truly are. So consider that. But yes, ambition goes a long way because, again, it's one thing for a woman to get with a man who's broke, who doesn't have much going on for himself right now, versus a man who might be broke but is a hard worker, is doing what he needs to do, is striving towards something. It doesn't mean every woman will find that as acceptable enough, but plenty of women have gotten with that kind of guy. I also will say that it's going to be your age plays a factor. So the guy who's in his early 20s, right, who's ambitious, who may not be financially successful yet, but he's working hard, like he's going to get more leeway versus the guy in his 30s or 40s who doesn't have his stuff together yet, even though he's working hard right now. It's like, all right, well, you haven't produced enough results yet at that age, so they might want to wait till you have a little bit more to show for yourself rather than just going off your ambition. But either way, the ambition does need to be there. All right, next on the list of things she likes more than looks in a man is money. All right, we said in the beginning, it is what it is. We're not going to run from it. Financial success, stability plays a huge role. Like some guys will say you never should cry in front of a woman. I disagree with this, but let me explain why. It's not the crying that makes a woman or anyone lose respect for you. It's what you're crying about. Now, that might still sound insensitive to some, but what I'm saying is this. It is extremely rare to see a woman lose respect for a man or view him as weak because he cried about his mom passing away, for example. All right? Because to that woman, it makes complete sense why you would be crying about this. She gets that. Okay, cool. However, if what you're crying about, let's just say your car broke down. I'm just giving a random example. And you cry about your car breaking down. There's a really good chance she's going to look at you different. I'm sorry to laugh, but I'm saying there's a really good chance. And here's the crazy thing. We think it's a woman thing. There's a lot of dudes who would look at you different if you cried about your car breaking down too. All right. And the reason is the same for all of them, because in their head, this ain't a reason to cry. Whether that's fair or not or whatever, that's what makes someone start to look at you different. Because like, yo, this is what you crying about? This is what you're so fragile about? And the reality is that I don't want you to suppress yourself if you feel the need to cry. But when we are crying about little things like that, again, it's usually a symptom of the fact that we have unresolved things. So when this event happens, it triggers us and it brings that old emotion to the front. And now we let out and we're emotional because we have not healed. The more you have healed from past issues, the less you'll find yourself crying about things. The less you'll find yourself so rattled and bothered. You will learn over time, when you can get through adversity in your life at any moment, it strengthens you for the next time you have any adversity. All right. And now you become more of a rock rather than this unstable individual. That's some of the differences we have to understand. I have to say one more. I didn't want to make this point this long, but I have to add one more thing. So consider all that, but also understand that when there are situations where women have lost respect for that man for being vulnerable, it's not because he had a moment, it's because he let it linger on. Okay? And so a quick example is one time God said to me, he knows a girl that left her dude because he lost his job. I was like, nah, that sounds off. There's gotta be more to this story you ain't telling me. I was like, yo, what else did she tell you? He said, she said that after the man lost his job for the next 2 months, all he's doing is moping around the house, whining, and not doing anything about finding work. That's why she left. Now, in his mind, the guy who got left, he might tell the world, oh, she left me because I lost my job. No, she left you because you dwelled in misery. You dwelled in weakness. You dwelled in not getting yourself together and doing anything about the situation. Yes, if you do that, there's a very good chance you're going to lose her respect. All right. But I'll say this, the woman, because this is about the woman who deeply loves you. The woman who deeply loves you, she's going to give you more leeway. She's going to give you a little more time, but you don't have forever, bruh. I don't care who you are. At some point, you got to, and as quickly as possible, you got to pick yourself back up and you got to get back to work. For me, I have a 3-day rule. I give myself no more than 3 days to work through being hurt, wallowing, whatever it is. If I got to take a whole day off and just stay in my bed, and that doesn't happen all the time, but if it was to happen, I'm giving myself 3 days, but there's a deadline. After 3 days, all right. And within those 3 days, I'm trying to do the process of healing and releasing as well. All right. So I'm venting, I'm releasing, I might be writing letters, I'm doing whatever I got to do. And then after those 3 days, back to work. Shake it off. You know what I'm saying? You can't stay there and dwell in it. But to get to the point, the woman that deeply loves you is not going to be quick to judge you about being vulnerable. All right. If she's quick to judge you for having a vulnerable moment, that woman probably don't love you like that. All right. So let's move this along. So the next thing a woman will do when she deeply loves you is she will be respectful of your finances and your financial situation. Now, let me make clear from the jump. I'm not saying that means that she will accept you broke and you can remain broke forever. All right. We have to always remember that for most women, there's a quote that says, men marry women hoping they will never change. Women marry men hoping they will change. So a lot of times, yes, women are embracing a man with the hopes that things are going to improve at some point. All right. She doesn't want to remain there. But what I am saying is this. When a woman deeply loves you, when love is involved, and even more specifically, connection is involved, the rule book gets thrown out the window. All this stuff you hear on the internet, I need this type of man and that type of... Listen, when people actually meet in person and a connection happens or they fall for someone, they're willing to overlook things and be more flexible. Hell, even in situations where some of these women don't even truly love the man, it might be just unhealthy attachment, she's willing to overlook it. Contrary to what some of y'all may realize, there's a lot of women with broke men right now. And they're willing to give him time and to hold on. But we have to understand again that sometimes when we see these relationships fall apart, it isn't simply because he was broke. There's a lot of cases where, not only was he broke, but he wasn't doing his part in other aspects of the relationship. All right. And then, yes, there are some situations where it's just he stayed broke and she couldn't take it anymore. Anyways, the point is she will be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more patient. But I think an even better point, because not every one of y'all are broke, right? To a better point, she's going to be respectful of your finances, meaning when a woman really loves you, she's not just trying to waste your money. She's not just thinking about herself selfishly and just what she wants. Like literally, I read a comment on another video. I wish I remembered all the details, but I think the man mentioned how, him and I believe it's his wife, they're at odds right now. They're going back and forth, and she screams at him and wants him to buy her stuff. And so she's just taking full advantage of him financially. And again, that's a bad sign, because when women, either they're upset or they don't care, they're not really into you, one of the things they're likely to want to use you for is money. But when they're really into you, they're more cautious. I'll even give an example of when you first meet a woman and you guys are dating. So though she may not be deeply in love with you yet, if she has genuine, serious interest, she is more reluctant to make things about the money. So here's a few examples. I know guys where, they meet a woman, within the first couple of days, the woman is asking for a cash app. The woman is bringing up some bill she needs to pay, all right? That tells you right there she ain't serious. Because when a woman is serious, she becomes cautious. Because I know, and so those same men that I've seen that happen to, they don't even be men with money. They could be broke or average earning men, and they're having this happen to them. Yet I've seen rich men who a woman meets and yet is not asking for any kind of money, isn't making anything about money. Now, some of y'all may say, oh, well, she's just playing the long game and she's being smart by not asking. Sometimes that could be the case. Many times it's not about if you have money or not. It's about what value does she see in you for her. If she likes you as a man, as an individual, then she doesn't want you to think she's about your money. So she will not bring that into the picture as much. If she doesn't view you as valuable outside of the money, then she's going to focus on the money. If you think about it, it's the same thing that many men do with women. When a man meets a woman, if he sees value in her past sex, he's more cautious. He's more willing to take his time and be patient. But if to him, she ain't got nothing else going on other than looking good and him wanting to sleep with her, well, he's going to be way quicker with pushing the envelope when it comes to sex. That's what happens. So, to the point, when she's really into you, whether that's deeply loves you or generally interested, she's more respectful of your finances. She's not just trying to use your money. She wants you to see that she likes you for you. All right, so we got one more. And before I give you that last one, real quick, check out my book for men, He Who Finds a Wife. It's helped a lot of dudes out there. I know it can be helpful to you. Click the link in the description or in the comment section, or go to hewhofinds.com. So now the last thing a woman will do when she deeply loves you is she will be more feminine with you. All right. So I know we live in a time where it seems like femininity has been lost. A lot more women are walking in their masculine and things of that nature. And I don't disagree with that, though I do think a shift is occurring. I do think things are starting to change. How much of an impact on society that will be, I don't know, but I do think things are moving in a new direction. But the point is, what you may be seeing is a lot of masculine energy out there. And here's the thing. There are some women who are struggling with exuding feminine energy for various reasons. All right. Number one for most is going to be lack of healing. Okay. But what I will say is that even some of these women who exude a lot of masculine energy are very feminine once they're in the relationship. Okay. Now, I am not saying that to excuse women from learning how to exude feminine energy in general. If you watch my videos on my other page, then you know I'm always saying they have to learn how to give that energy up front. They can't wait to meet the man to give that. However, what I want you to focus on and understand is that regardless of what she exuded in general, If she doesn't become more feminine once she's actually engaged and in a relationship with you and dating you, then that is a cause for concern. Because a woman who's really into a man naturally becomes softer to that man, naturally starts to wants to be more of a supporter, a nurturer, all these things. If those qualities are not being activated within her, then there is reason for me to believe she's not really into you like that. All right. And that's not a shot at you. It's just for you to be aware that, yo, something's off here. If she can't give me that energy, what's the problem? Now, listen, there are some cases of she could be into you, but because she's heavily guarded from things she hasn't healed from, this is why she's unable to give you that energy. But that doesn't excuse it. And it still needs to be addressed. And she needs to heal whatever the issue is so that she can show up in that way. Because she's not going to show up in a more feminine way. You're not going to be able to sustain a happy relationship with this woman. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there.
Relationships are the key to a successful life. But there's 5 areas that we have to be mindful of when it comes to relationships. There's relationship with God, relationship with ourselves, relationship with family and friends,